For more on the comprehensive economic dialogue, I'm joined in Beijing by Einar Tangen, a current affairs commentator. Einar, first let's begin with the Chinese side. The foreign ministry released a pretty lengthy statement after the CED, saying it focused on long-term challenges, identifying the correct path for continued cooperation and growth. You heard a lot about the relationship and dialogue, what can be done constructively working together. What do you make of the Chinese reaction to what happened?
Well, Elaine, quite frankly, what China is dealing with is a very much weakened Donald Trump. I mean, he's responding on a daily basis to his internal concerns, lack of progress on his agenda, and also the scandals surrounding himself and his family. So this is a time when China has decided to reassert itself and say, look, you know, the long-term answer to this thing is for you to allow us to start importing some of your technology. This is something we're interested in. From the Chinese side, they believe that this could reduce the current account deficit by as much as 24%. So you have a lot of kind of red herrings in here. People keep talking about the steel, for example. China produces over 800 million tons of steel. The U.S. last year only imported 0.95 million tons. It's not even a rounding error at this point. So it might be a political posturing, but it's not going to solve the issue. Also, the U.S. has to be very, very careful. China is the second largest recipient of agricultural goods from the United States. There are all sorts of interweavings in terms of airplanes, machinery, things that are going by, especially medical equipment. These could be disrupted if there's, in fact, some sort of trade war. So I think both sides are taking an initially hard stance to try to firm up their position going into the next round of talks. But I don't think that there's going to be really strong action unless Donald Trump believes this is necessary to try to change the conversation happening in Washington, D.C.
And Einar, to what you said about the Trump administration and its domestic issues, the U.S. side had a very short statement after the CED, and I want to read in part to what the meat of their statement said. They're saying China acknowledged our shared objective to reduce the trade deficit, which both sides will work cooperatively to achieve. You know, in their statement, the United States seemed to list all of its wants. And, you know, there was a news conference that was canceled. So I just want to get your reaction to the U.S. side to all of this.
Well, the U.S. side is weakened. This America First policy makes it very, very difficult to retreat politically on any issue. Donald Trump is fighting this sense that he is not able to get things done, that he is not the great deal maker. So there's very little backup room for this State Department and Commerce Department as they go through these types of initiatives. They have to kind of hold firm to the, quote, bottom line that Donald Trump is trying to producing. But at this point, yes, it is very remarkable. This is the first time that they have not issued a joint statement on these types of dialogue talks. And it's notable that the Chinese side was very, said directly, well, we're not going to issue a joint statement. So, as I said, this is firming up in preparation for the next round. I think China has decided that perhaps Donald Trump is not the person they're going to be dealing with forever in the future. They keep referring to a longer time frame, and I think they're probably correct.
Einar, one thing that did come out of the dialogue was a idea for a one-year plan for economic cooperation. They talked a lot about the outcomes that came out of the 100-day action plan. Now they put forth this one-year plan for economic cooperation. What do you think of that? Just sort of a longer-range goal.
Well, I mean, we're not really talking about goals. We're talking about small instances. If you take a look at that 100-day action plan, it was kind of, you give me this, I give you that. You know, you can export beef to China as long as we can export poultry to the U.S. Same thing with a lot of the other issues. It was very much tit for tat. So I don't know that this is going to be, quote, a broad-based solution. I would expect the one-year thing will be more of the same, kind of you do this, I'll do that, and it'll be a kind of laundry list of smaller issues. But the larger issues of how you tackle the trade deficit from the U.S. perspective are probably going to be more connected with the U.S.'s ability to be productive and competitive in the world.
You know, this dialogue was not really expected to have any solid outcomes. Was it more about managing expectations? And did the U.S. side have too high of expectations?
Well, once again, this is kind of a trap that Donald Trump has set for himself. He doesn't have room to retreat. He said, I'm going to put America first. I know how to deal with China. I'll slap imports, tariffs on them. I'll do all of these things. I'll declare them a currency manipulator. He's kind of put himself up as this tough guy. And at this point, where can he go? If he backs down on these issues or is perceived to do so, it's going to be even worse for his faltering administration. So I don't think that China is trying to back him into a corner, but they're trying to make it clear that, look, we're not going to be buffaloed by you trying to play the playground bully and force us into something that doesn't work.
All right, Einar Tangen in Beijing. As always, we appreciate it.